Hey friend, how you doing? It's Tim Shurr, and I got a question for you. Are you living your core values at work, in your company, and then also at home with your family life? That's the question, and today I've got an answer for you. So I decided to take a walk because it's nice and it's warm outside. It is windy, so I'm getting blown all over the place. But this is really important because your core values are like your compass in life. They help you figure out what is most important to you. And it gives you a tool for helping with so many things, right? So if you have a core value of respectful communication, and that means no matter how stressed we get, no matter how heated the discussion becomes, we are going to respectfully communicate. We might disagree on the outcome or what we need to do to get to a desired outcome, but we are going to respect each other in our communication. That way, if things aren't going well, you can take a look at your values and say, hey, are we living the value of respectful communication or not? Or you might use operational excellence, or you might use honesty or transparency. You might use kindness, right? There's so many different ways. But what happens is people are not on the same page and they think they are, right? There's so many unconscious biases and assumptions that we make every single day, and we don't recognize that we're making them. And as a result, there's all this breakdown in communication, and people can't understand why we have so many problems, and so we just think it's the people themselves, right? So we just have all these people problems, when often it's not the personalities, it's the communication styles, it's the listening, it's the clarifying what the unconscious assumptions are so that we can improve our communication. And core values gives you a way of doing that because it allows you to say, hey, this is really important, this is what we stand for, this is the value, this is the definition of the value of what it actually means, and then these are behaviors to show what this value looks like in action, and then you can look at your values blueprint and you can say, hey, are we living that value? Are we approaching it in this way, in this way, in this way, or not? And so it becomes a diagnostic tool. In companies, it also becomes an onboarding tool. Having a strong set of values, not just words that are on your website, but actually a living document where people are saying, hey, these are our core values, and this is what we do every day. This is how we use it every day. And you're coming into our organization where we are very much based on our values, and we use our core values, and these are what they are. And here's some people that are going to tell you, some heads of our different departments that are going to tell you how important it is to have these values and how we use them as our moral compass to improve communication, to improve operational excellence, to improve more customer care, right, or patient care. I'm working with Rush Memorial today, so it would be patient care. There's lots of different ways that you can use your values. And a lot of times people have values, but they're not really using them, or they haven't clarified what they meant. So I say a value that says, you know, our core value is excellence. So if I walk into an organization that has 200 employees or 2,000 employees, and I say, what does your core value of excellence mean? They're going to give you 200 different explanations of what they think excellence means, which means that people are not on the same page. And if you are not on the same page, then you have lots of people doing things differently. And then there's no congruency. And that is where so many of the problems happen, because we're not on the same page. I remember sitting down with two leads of different departments, and they were having trouble. They were having a lot of mistakes that were happening in the field, and they couldn't figure out why. And the two leaders of each department, actually, I made them sit down and have a conversation where they weren't stressed, where they were just sitting down trying to figure it out, respectful communication. And as a result, they realized that they were both trained differently on the same process, and they didn't know it. So they thought they were doing the process in the same exact way, and they weren't. And they never knew it. And it was costing them, six figures, these mistakes. And so it wasn't that the process was bad, and it wasn't that either one of those leaders, were difficult. They simply did not have all the facts. And they didn't have the values in place that would have helped clear that up quickly. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that we were taking a look at what is leading us, what is our compass, right? And then not just having it, because some people don't even have core values on their website, right? And then others will have core values, and they might even have a definition of what it means, but they're not living it. They're not modeling it from the top down. They're not walking the talk. Or they have a set of rules for their employees, but the leadership team are not living the values. It's a different set of rules. And employees are smart and they're gonna be like, hey, that's a bunch of crap, I'm not stupid. And then of course, they're not gonna follow them either, right? And then it becomes a kind of a cutthroat, everybody's in it for themselves. And that kind of operation is just, that's where you have turnover. That's why you have a lot of churn. That's why you have low employee engagement survey scores, which companies like that often don't even run surveys because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know, right? They're just going to tell everybody things are fine, everybody's happy, things are great, and live in denial, right? Because a lot of companies, that's how they run. They're very transactional. They're not focused on the people or on really creating amazing experiences. They're based on the bottom line and how much money they can make for their stakeholders, period. But there's about 10 to 20% of companies out there that want to do it different, that are doing it different. And those are the companies that have extraordinary breakthroughs, extraordinary, places to work, right? In cultures where people stay, they want to stay, they love where they work. And so values are so important. And again, values, you can just Google a list of core values or send me an email and I'll give you a list of core values that I have. And you can just look through there and say, hey, what are the most important values for us? And then you just keep having conversations with your leadership team until you figure out and identify what the most powerful core values are. And then you'll come up with a lot of descriptions of different values. And a lot of times those descriptive words will end up being a part of the definition of your core value. Because your core value is a word like honesty, and then, all right, so what does honesty mean? And then you give the actual definition of what honesty means, and you might plug in some of those other key words. And so that's how you start to kind of make it more and more clear every time you go through. So you have your core value, then you have your definition of your core value, and then underneath that you have what your core value looks like in actions with your behaviors and your action steps. And so it just becomes very clear so that anybody can look at that document, that values blueprint, and then say, hey, check this out. This is how we handle this situation. This is what we have agreed upon as a community, as a group of people, as an organization. This is what we are going to do to handle situations that arise like this. And then everybody's on the same page. And then if somebody's not acting that way, it's very clear, it's very obvious because you can see it in their values. And then there's not a lot of, I don't understand why it's not working, or I don't understand where the breakdown is. It becomes very clear where the breakdown is because people simply, you'll be able to look and say, are you living the values or are you not? And so you can also hold people to a higher level. You can use your values blueprint as an accountability tool. You can use it to coach people to success, because a lot of times people say you just have to do better. You just have to grow, right? You just have to improve. And then they don't show them how. They don't give them a roadmap. They don't give them any tools or support. And so, if I say you just have to grow, you have to be 10% better, how? What does that mean? How? So your values gives you one way of doing it, right? So it just improves company performance in so many ways. Now, the other way you can use this is with your family life. Having a set of core values that drive your family life is so important. It's so essential, because when you have a set of core values, you start to decide what's most important to us and how are we going to treat each other when we're in a family, right? Because companies are often like, big families, so to speak, and most families are pretty dysfunctional. And so then you take all your baggage and everybody else's baggage and you bring it into your work family, and then you have the same or similar issues, because human beings just kind of repeat things over and over and over again. So in your family, if you had a set of core values, imagine if everybody developed their core values and then they brought them into work, and then we were running more on values than anything else. It would be amazing how much happier families would be, how many more people would stay married, how many more kids would graduate college and be more successful and be happy instead of everybody feeling stressed and lost and frustrated. If you sit down with most people, unconsciously their core values are stressed, too busy, and frustrated. That's what it seems like our core values are, because that's how so many people feel, right? We feel this disconnect, we feel this sense of unhappiness, we feel this frustration because life's stressful and things don't work out and there's always one obstacle after another, and it's like our core value is struggle, right? Our mission statement is how to get over the struggle, and that in itself is no fun. But if you actively decided that you are going to create a set of core values and a mission statement for your family or for your relationship, right? If you don't have kids, you create a core set of a mission statement for your marriage, right? Or for your friendships. Imagine if you started getting more clarity in that way, and then imagine so many of the arguments could be avoided if we said, hey, these are the rules of engagement. If we have a disagreement, right? If we get upset about something, these are the values that we use to solve those arguments. We're going to have respectful communication. We're going to be honest and transparent, okay? We're going to focus on relationship excellence, which means that we're always trying to do things to improve the relationship, to keep the conversation going. And if those were our three values, honesty, transparency, and relationship excellence, and those became your three core values for your family or for your marriage, imagine now you have an understanding and agreement, and you guys can go back and forth and say, hey, these are the behaviors that go along with respectful communication. These are the behaviors that go along with transparency, with being honest and direct and compassionate at the same time, right? If that becomes your definition. You know, transparency means to be direct and also have compassion when you're sharing how you think or how you feel or what you want from your partner, or what what you think your partner needs from you, right? So imagine if we had that level of core values. You'll notice whenever I talk about companies, I always bring it back to people, because companies are just buildings full of humans. And then I'll bring it back to the family, and then I bring it back to the individual, because at the end of the day, everything that you want to create out there has to be created in here first, and this is the last place people go, right? They try to fix everything else out there. They'll get married again, they'll move 50 times, they'll keep changing jobs, they'll move to a different part of the country, and they'll find themselves having the same feelings, the same challenges, and it's because they took themselves with. Wherever you go, there's always a common element, and it's you, and it's your beliefs, and it's your unconscious programming. So the more we take a look at what's going on inside, and the more we keep clarifying and having honest conversations with ourselves and improving our tools and our strategies. It's always improve your mindset and your strategy every single time. And so when you start to improve your core values, then all of a sudden you get clarity. It gives you the ability to improve your mindset, and all kinds of great things happen from there. So I hope this helps. It's a short video. I just wanted to give you some nuggets. So your exercise, your action step is to take a look at your core values and think about, what are your core values for your life? What are your core values for your family, for your relationship? And remember, people support what they co-create. So if you just create values and then give it to people, that you won't get as much buy-in or engagement. People support what they co-create. If you want to skyrocket engagement, make sure that you're having your team, or you're having your employees, or you're having your family members, and definitely your spouse help you to co-create these values and what they mean and the action steps that go with them, so that you guys together are doing this. Because if you just write it down and say, here, this is what we're doing, it ain't gonna fly. But if you co-create it together, then you have buy-in, you have engagement, you have more excitement. You don't have to motivate people because they're already internally inspired. All right, so start thinking about your core values, start having conversations with those that matter to you, so you can start creating some shared values together, and start making your life and your company a stronger, sure success. Talk to you soon. Bye.